Yo, what is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Rogue to High Rated. I believe we are on episode 8, and interestingly enough, we are actually coming to a close on the first season of this series because, as many of you know, the new ban list was announced a couple of days ago, and it will be going into effect on February the 7th. And unfortunately, they decided to leave such a big gap between the day they decided to reveal the list and the date it goes into effect. I'm not personally a huge fan of that, just because playing on DB is a little stale because you already have the new format to look forward to, but obviously DB is not going to update the ban list and the ranking ladder until that set day, February 7th, which, as I'm recording this, is about a week away. So I don't really want to keep grinding old format on DB, but I did have a goal in mind, and that goal was to get to over 900 rating, and we are very, very close. In today's episode, at the start, my rating is currently, with my beautiful profile picture, is currently 881. So we are literally 19 rating from that 900 mark, and we're playing against Swordmaster 4435 here, who's got that quad digit rating, which hopefully we can achieve, either, in season 2. Hopefully that would be the game plan. My goal was 900 here in this season and 1,000 on the next season. But yeah, 1,076 to our 881. And as you guys can tell, and by the thumbnail and title, we are playing against Prank Kids. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. We do win the rock, paper, scissors, shoe, and the new ban list might not be into effect, but most people that are how do I put this, that are probably playing ranked right now are trying to build their decks to be new lists. So if your deck sided IO or mained it, you're probably not playing anymore. If you're playing Sorcel, you're probably cutting Protos so you can practice new format, even though you don't have to, because the ban list is implemented. You can modify your deck to make it new list appropriate. Now, the changes I wanted to make to my specific list, I actually can't, play on ranked with, because E-Telly is not at 3 yet on DB. It's still at 2. And I'm experimenting a lot with E-Telly at 3. And I do have a new build, and I will keep it on wraps for a little while. I want to actually test it. I do plan on making a test stand video, and then if I like that build, I'll probably put out a deck profile for it for you all to see. But yeah, with all out of the way, let's take a look here at the first opening hands. And yeah, new ban list is out, but the Grand Creator set came out, so there are new cards in the pool on both sides. Actually, he's running the whole engine, the whole Adventurer token engine, and I'm just playing the Griffin Rider. So you open up Draco back, Ash, Roxy's Instant Fusion, and Imperm. So definitely a way to play, and definitely a way to play through Ash as well. To my Veiler, Tekatomborg, and Double Duke and Nib. So I'm going to have to play through Ash and Imperm here, and it's definitely going to be a little bit rough. I have basically one way to play here. It's normal Duke, special Tekatomborg, tag out for Tekatomborg, and just pray my opponent decides not to Ash here. And luckily, he does not. So our Tekatomborg is going to resolve. We're going to take this early plus right now if we can get it. We open really bad. I'll take a draw 1 at this point. And what do I end up getting off the said draw 1? We get a Terror Top. So, could have been better, but at the same time, I'll take the Terror Top. And also here, something that's interesting too is if he, Imperms or Veilers or whatever the, what's it called? The first effect of the Rubber Band Shooter, we can actually Duke out the Piper and then make another one, and then normal the Terror Top, and then get a card turbo and make a Charge Warrior and draw another card, and just basically try to draw no more hand traps at that point. But we can still play through that, which is nice, even with the terrible hand that we have here. So I'm going to start with the Rubber Band Shooter, and my opponent's thinking emoji here, and I'm like, okay, this is going to go through, and he's got Ash Imperm. I'm surprised he hasn't fired it yet. Most people don't realize, and I guess, for my sake, maybe it's good, but don't realize that Ashing Tekatomborg is really, really strong. He's that extender that you want to save for a very certain point, because he literally gets you any tuner in the deck that you need, whether it's Duke to extend further, and then while synchroing the processors, Piper to plus super hard, or it's Dice to get access to Cork Shooter. Such a good card to be able to hit with Ash. Yeah, and you wanted to read the one that I added here. Totally understandable. I don't end up normal summoning the Marble Machine here. What's my reasoning for not doing that? I'm pretty sure I decide to normal summon the Terror Top. Let's see, yeah. So I do decide to normal summon the Terror Top. And I think I wanted to go for... What did I want to go for here? I already have Duke set up, so I'm definitely adding a copy of Car Turbo here. Okay, so I think I see what I was doing. I was trying to get Car to make Charge Warrior, and then Duke out the Piper to make Baron. I think that was my game plan here. Pretty sure. And it looks like my opponent is just holding Ash for the next game, I think. I mean, I played these matches earlier tonight from when I'm recording this, so I should know what happens here, but I can't believe he didn't Ash. Yeah, so we spec the Card Turbo, we spec the Charge Warrior, we draw a card, and what do we draw into here? Draw into an Imperm, so we already have 3 hand traps in hand, so at this point, if he has Nib or something, it's like, alright, I have follow-up, and I have 3 hand traps for you to play through. That's pretty good to be able to sit on there. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Duke for the Piper, and all this is still resolving, and we're going to end on the Baron with 3 interruptions. Like, it's not a lot on the surface, but, like, you know what I mean? We've got follow-up. We have Hound, we have Marble Machine, and we have a Duke in hand, which is not terrible because, you know, we can potentially draw into a wheel or get access to the Cork Shooter, which gets us a wheel or scratch if you're playing it, and that's the discard outlet for the Duke, which is really nice. Which I have thought about playing in the new build just to be able to search off it, search off of Cork Shooter, because I find sometimes, like, when you have that option to search a spell or trap off of Cork Shooter, in an instance where you feel like you need an extender, where you'd be going for wheel, and you have the perfect discard outlet, which is Duke. Sometimes I find, like, the random roll a lot of times doesn't do a lot, but I also feel that sometimes that late in the combo, the one search I'm getting off of Scratch isn't super helpful. But then again, being able to have that guaranteed body to add to hand is kind of nice. But then again, you know, I don't know. I guess there's a higher risk reward with the wheel. They both can potentially be -2s at the end of the day, but it is what it is. So we're going to end there. My opponent's going to draw up Pranks as his 6, and then, of course, he decides to fire off the Imperm on the Baron, which is totally understandable. We know he normal summons the Roxys, and I'm like, oh, great. I don't have Ash for his Prank, which, you know, could end his turn, right? Could end his turn in theory, but he has the Instant Fusion in hand, low to my knowledge. So he's going to go ahead and resolve the Roxys here. This is completely fine. He's going to banish the Draco back, so I'm like, okay, he's on the Brave stuff. Makes total sense. The Brave engine is so good in this deck here. He's going to summon out green, and he's going to summon out Doodle Doo. And I was like, you know, I could Veiler this here, but, like, there's no reason to. I sometimes hitting this card is good, but, like, if they have green access already, it's like, pointless, because if you Imperm this, they can just dump Pandemonium off of this, and then use Doodle Doo to add back the Pandemonium. It's not, like, optimal for them, but, like, they can still just get whatever spell or trap you're trying to deny them to get, so I decided to let this go through here, and I figured I would hold the Veiler for something later on. Like, if he gets to a Toad, right, I can, like, Veiler Imperm it, or I can Veiler Nib, right, if he gets to a Toad. So I decided to hold on to it. He's going to go ahead and resolve the Doodle Doo effect, and it tributes for cost, so we obviously cannot Veiler or Imperm. It's also a quick effect, I believe. It's a quickie. You can tribute this card. It is not a quick effect, so I guess... But it does tribute for cost. So I could have, like... Technically, Veiling or Imperm would have stopped from getting Spell Trap, and then also the double add back. But then you can also just make another Doodle Doo. And then do the same thing, so... Yeah, so he's going to go ahead and activate the Place. Place is going to search him green. And then he's going to play Pranks, pitching another green. So basically just free discard fodder from here. He's going to summon out the token. And then he's going to, yeah, here we go, link into another Doodle Doo. And then he's going to activate blue to gain a rack. And then he's going to go ahead and summon out from the deck. Going to go for the red here. And see, I think that's the last color he's yet to use. And here's the instant fusion. So I see the instant fusion. At this point, I'm like, doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot going on in this turn. And at this point, I'm really glad I held the Veiler, because this instant fusion would have been a huge huge play after Veiler to be able to go into the rocket ride, which can, you know, tribute itself to summon back 2, so we can get access to green and to blue, which in turn gets him access to Butler. So he's gonna go activate the field spell here as Chainlink 1, and I'm gonna go Chainlink 2 Veiler on the rocket ride, because it does tribute for cost, but it's also not a quick effect. So I wanted to Veiler this right now, so that its effects would just be completely negated, and I accidentally misclick and banish my rubber band shooter. So yeah, that's gonna deny him those extra bodies on field that he probably wants. And at this point, I'm like, maybe he's gonna go for a bigger link, like a Phoenix or a Cerberus, you know, and try to get a co-link draw. And I have the imperm for that still. So, you know, holding those hand traps here proved to be pretty good, or holding that Veiler specifically. And he goes battle phase, and I'm like, do I want to nib here? Because if I nib, it's going to get the Bow Wow off the field, and it's also going to make his Pandemonium completely dead in the water, because he's not going to have... He needs at least 2 bodies to fuse with, and if I nib here, that puts him on having 2 pranks in hand, which I think at this point I would only know 2 cards in his hand. The other 2 are unknown. Yeah. He's going to go battle phase. I'm going to let this happen. It's completely fine. I'll take the 2,000 because of the increase from the place, or the decrease from the place. And then he's going to run over the Baron, since this is boosted by the Bow Wow and the place, I believe. And he's going to set 2. The Pandemonium, technically, right now is a bluff. Because he, well, because I'm about to Nibiru him, it's going to be a bluff. So the nib does go through here. And all his monsters are going to get tributed off, and I do decide to put it in defense, obviously, since I tributed a majority of Link monsters. So it only has 2,000 defense, so my own nib can get over it, which is nice. And he's going to go end phase to recycle with the place here, or with the pranks. And he's probably hoping he draws a prank kid, and let's see if he does. He draws another Ash. Okay, so my man is getting that classic dueling book luck, drawing the doubles over and over again. He had 2 Imperm, now 2 Ash. And then we're going to draw an imperm of our own for turn. So here, you know, we have follow-up, but it's kind of fragile follow-up, but at least it can play through a hand trap. I mean, at this point, he's got 2. So, like, we'll see where this goes. Yeah, I normal the Marble Machine here, and I think my opponent Ash's frame 1. So my next option, my only option really at this point, is to activate Hound Engrave. That's going to recycle Terratop, because I know I'm going to make Rubber Band Shooter, and I know I want to be able to reveal Terratop as an option off of that, just because it's a good normal summon that searches into an extender, and we only play 1, so I put it back in the deck, and it gets me a body here, which is nice. And then we go Link 2 into Rubber Band Shooter, and my opponent has an Imperm here, keep in mind, and he doesn't use it on this particular play. And we go ahead and banish the 6 here, because I'm going for either Hound or Terratop. And what do we get here? We get the Hound, which is the less desirable option. But at the same time, you know, it's not terrible. Like, I'll definitely take it, because we can get access to Wheel now. He's going to let this all go through. Like, I guess, like, in hindsight, too, like, hitting this in this simplified state, when he's like this in much of a bad spot, I guess holding the Imperm makes sense, because there's really no threats on board yet. There's really no threats at all. But yeah, if he would have Impermed there, I would have just be going to battle phase and running over the token, swinging for 1,000, and then he needs to draw a prank hit, basically. But then he normals green and basically off to the races, which kind of hurts to say, because it's that close for the game going in his favor, at least as game 1 here. So we're going to activate Duplicate, and the Duplicate's going to summon itself. We're going to go ahead and Synchro 3 into Cork Shooter. He doesn't let... he lets this go through, I believe. Yeah, he's wondering which effect I was using. So yeah, first effect, obviously, because we can't use the second effect if you use something like Duplicate or Marble Machine, because both materials have to be in the graveyard. And you cannot summon back the, yeah, and this card were Speedroid monsters and are all in the graveyard, so. Cannot bring back the duplicate off that, so we activate the wheel here. And wheel doesn't roll me too good here. No, rolls me a 3, so that's a really good roll. I like rolling a 3 a lot because it gives you the option to either do the marble dice play, or you can get a duke out of the deck. And I wanted to go with the marble dice here because it'll get me access to the Hagoita. And then we're going to use duke, and we're going to use his effect to bring out Piper. And Piper is going to allow us to reveal 3 here. And I think I find the Ash off the top. Yeah, so I find Ash, Nib, and Recovery. And I decide to take the Recovery here. Probably should have taken the Ash if I was being super safe. But I wanted to, like... Oh, yeah, I accidentally added this Ash here. And my opponent was like, how'd I add 2? And I didn't even realize I accidentally added this one to my hand. I must have just misclicked instead of it hitting add to bottom. Because I just go ahead and put it back to the bottom of the deck there. So I wanted to grab the Recovery because I'm like, you know what? If he just needs one prank to play, because he did put back his Meow Mew, I'm like, I could just set up a Shen Shen here. I'm already basically at a Shen Shen. And a Crystal Wing on top of that is also probably going to seal. And I can also OTK here with the Shen Shen Crystal Wing thing too. So I bring back the Cork, and I Synchro 8 into Crystal Wing, and then we use Hagoita Engrave. And we're going to go ahead and Synchro 9 into Shen Shen. Just like that. And this dice is just chilling here. Like, I wish I had like another level 6 to go into, because like, and another Baron too, because like I could have just gone like Synchro 6 into Charge Warrior and then bring out the Duke and go for Piper. Like, I love that play so much. Like, sometimes like I already have Baron on field, and like I'll still like, if I didn't make the Baron with Charge Warrior, I'll still like make the Charge Warrior and then summon the Piper and then be like, wait, I already made Baron. Like, it's why sometimes I wish there was like another good level 10 win synchro that was generic and was also good, but like it just doesn't exist. The closest thing is Crystal Clearwing, but that is obviously, as we know, a lot harder to make. If I could easily make Crystal Clearwing, you know, maybe, just maybe, it would find its way back into the extra deck. I'm also still torn, while we're on this up at the extra deck, I'm still torn on actually playing a level 7 synchro over just a third level 6. Because sometimes in those like simplified game states, like being able to access something like Wrap Type is not terrible, because it's pretty good against a lot of the meta decks. It's good against Phantom Knights, good against Sword Soul for hitting like things like you know, Ashina and Vishuda out of the graveyard, and you know, PK just hitting pretty much anything out of the PK graveyard is very, very strong. And that's really all I can think of. Oh, well, I guess it's also good against Sky Striker too, which is, you know, obviously a very potent and popular deck currently. I don't think it has too much implication against a deck like this, but you get what I'm saying. Either way, we're going to turn the Nib to attack, and I could have card turboed here. I didn't card turbo, and I remember thinking like, oh, I probably should have card turbo there, but I also realized, like, as I'm attacking with this Nib, and my opponent takes all the damage, and I'm just like, hold on a second. Like, wait, because I was going to attack with the Nib goes in first for 3k, so that puts him down to 5. Yeah, because he blued and then he instant fuses, so he's still at 8. So he goes down to 5, and then Crystal Wing attacks, activates Shen Shen to attempt to return, and you'll see this happen here, negate with Crystal Wing, and that would be 5,800 damage, and that's just a game right there without Rubber Band Shooter even attacking. And he goes reading, and I was like, you know, he did technically thumbs it up. What did he thumbs up? I don't know if he thumbs up the Shen Shen effect or the, you know, the Crystal Wing, but I let it slide. And then Shen Shen is still returning one, so we put the Duke back, leaves him at 1,000. And I set one in pass, and he draws the Fateful Adventure, and he decides to go ahead and scoop. I don't know if he could do the whole Brave Token engine at this point, because the Draco backpack is currently banished. Like, I don't know what the ratio is. I know you play like 3 of these and 3 Aquamancer, and then like 1 Griffin Rider, and maybe 1 or 2 of these. I don't know. I know some of the Adventurer token stuff is like bricks. But yeah, he just decided to scoop there. The Shen Shen is probably just too much for him, especially with just 1 prank and no other way to play. So he decides to scoop it up, and we go into a game 2 here. Shout outs to Shagohod and the Watchers chat over there. So my opponent has Funny trap card, Ash Blossom, Called by the Grave, Roxy's, and Lampseeds to my plane, Tekatomborg, Duke, Wheel, and Tekatomborg. Open up Duke Tekatomborg game 1, and here we are opening it again in game 2. I swear, Duke Tekatomborg. It's like my go-to combo nowadays because it seems like that's all I open. I just wish Speedroids had more starters. I mean, I technically could go up and play more starters by playing Scratch, but everybody knows like the gripes I already have with Scratch currently. I digress. So here I am, very upset that I don't have Ash, but he was strapped for the Ash this point. Like, he did not care about Ash Blossom here. He's going to go ahead and burn for 5. Summon out green here, and I have no hand traps, so we're just going to basically speed through this. Yeah, the TC Boo is just, the fact that if your deck can main, there can be only one. Like, your deck, like, gets bumped to tier 2, like, almost immediately, I want to say. Because that trap card is so strong. A lot of decks, like, a large majority of decks cannot play through it. And I guess the same could be said for, like, certain decks against Gozen Match and Rivalry. But for some reason, TC Boo seems to be, like, one of the most punishing floodgates in terms of type and attribute floodgates that have been printed in a long time. And I draw another wheel for turn. I lead with Tekatomborg, and he flips this up, and then I activate this effect because I waited a little while, and then he flipped it up. But whether he did it on summon or he did it on effect activation, quite literally doesn't make a difference. I cannot play, so quick as the game is over, or the game is started, the game is over. So, and we're into a game 3. Like, I don't remember if I sided in back or hate. I think... No, I definitely didn't side in back rate. I think I just sided in, like, Gamma, and I think that's it. I think I just put Gammas in. I think I took out Recoveries and a Duplicate for 3 Gamma and Driver, and didn't draw a single hand trap. So I would have had 3 Nib, 3 Ash, 2 Veiler, 3 Imperm, 3 Gamma, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 hand traps going to that game there. Didn't see a single one, and, you know, you hate to see it. So here we are in game 3. They have Instant Fusion, Dropsies, the Water Enchantress of the Temple, or the Aquamancer it used to be called, the Infinite Impermanence, and the Pandemonium to our wheel, Marble Machine, Tekatomborg, Judgment, Nib. This is like one of the best hands, like one of my favorite style of hands to open with Speedroids is like 3 engine cards and then like 2 defensive cards, or even 2 engine cards and 3 defensive cards. Because a lot of times there's a lot you can do off just 2 or 3 engine cards. Sometimes 1 if it's Terror Top. Hashtag give us back Terror Top to 3. Anyways, we're going to normal summon the Marble Machine, and my opponent's feeling a little frisky, and he's going to throw the Imperm at the Marble, and I'm like, at this point, this guy has made a huge mistake with this particular hand, because, you know, Imperming the normal summon, sometimes it's a turn ender, other times it's not. Is that a gamble you want to take? No. Like, he would have gotten so much more value out of Imperming, like, the Tekatomborg on the summon of itself. Like, he would have got more value there. You got more value on Imperming Rubber Band Shooter. Way more value, because I would have, like, forced Wheel to, like, discard something else, I guess, but not really, because I would have gotten the Search Off Marble Machine, so whatever. But either way, talk about a stroke of luck here. I decided to take that early Piper, because I don't want to discard Judgment or Nib. I know Judgment can just quite literally end his turn on some hands. You know, you let them normal summon, and then you let them link into the Meow Mew. You let them burn the Meow Mew. Which, yeah, I guess it's okay to let them burn the Meow Mew and get it in the graveyard. I guess that's fine, because it prevents them, like, having another way to, like, link 1 into something and keep playing. But, like, you let them link into, at least my philosophy, let them normal summon, let them link into Meow Mew, and then Judgment the Meow Mew, because if they are not, if the monster they were link summoned for is not summoned successfully, the Prank Kids effect does not go off. That's something I learned, like, mid last year. So I take the early Piper here, and I find a Duke off the top. Like, oh my god, I was like, what an insane pull off of that. So we go ahead and go link 2. And I'm feeling strapped right now, so we're gonna go and banish the 6 to reveal the Hound and the Terror Top, like always. And what do we get here? We get the Terror Top, Duke, or the Hound goes to grave, which is a good follow-up for next turn, and a nice non-tuner body to be able to revive. We're gonna normal summon the Terror Top here, and this is gonna get me not Tekatomborg, because we already used Tekatomborg, so I grab Car Turbo, And what do I do next here? Yeah, we use car turbo, and we're going to go ahead and spec out that synchro charge warrior, and we're going to draw a card. And what do we draw into here? We draw into a tether wolf, so not the best draw. And then we're going to wheel. And what do I roll off of this wheel? I think I roll a 2, which is, yeah, it's just not that good, is what that is. I mean, technically, you know, I could spec 2 dice if I was playing 2 dice, but, like, 2 dice doesn't really get me anything. Sure, I can make, like, Clearing Fast and Crystal Wing, but I could also just duke out Piper and, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is like, a time where wheel is, you know, less than optimal. Because in order for this, like, for me to get a ton of value out of this wheel, I need to roll, like, I want to say a 5. And the only reason I'm doing this is just to get Duke Engrave. So I don't know if there's a way I could have, like, set this up better in terms of resolving the rubber band shooter. Like, I don't know. It's just awkward. It's just, I had to do this just to get the Duke in the graveyard. Even if that was scratch, like, I already burned Tekatana Board, I already burned card turbo, you know, what am I grabbing off of that, you know, to get value out of? Like, I guess rubber band plane, or like a, you know, a normal summon for next turn. You know, we already have Tether Wolf, but, you know, still could be a normal summon for next turn. And if I wasn't super scared of hand traps, I could have Pipered for 3 here. But, you know, I took the early Piper just because I didn't want to risk it. And I accidentally synchro off with the Marble Machine, which I did not want to do because I can't synchro 6 because I literally don't have a synchro 6 in the extra deck. So we go for Baron. We set Imperm, or not Imperm, we set Judgment and pass. And he draws the place. I'm like, that's completely fine. And then he's going to go ahead and search out the Dropsies. And then he activates the Water Enchantress. And I do negate that because I do not want to allow him access to the Brave token stuff. He's going to normal the Dropsies. He's going to link it to Meow Mew. And we are going to Judgment the Meow Mew. And I think my opponent just calls it GG there. Because there's nothing he can do. Yeah, he can Instant Fusion for Rocket Ride. But, you know, he can't do anything with the Rocket Ride, unfortunately. And then next turn we have Tether Wolf. And Hound, and that's probably just enough for a game as is, especially with the card Turbo Engrave. So, yeah, that brings us up to 893, 7 rating points away from that 900 mark. And stay tuned for next episode to hopefully see us get there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up at the bottom of the screen right now. And as always, we're Killer signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And like always, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members, and they are Tweeter0226, Pony Stark, Cadillacs84, Keith Sidgers, and Black Ninja Money. Thank you guys so much, as always, for your extremely kind and generous support of this channel.